Welcome to this lesson on letters. We're going to discuss how, as an administrative assistant, you can draft letters. Letters are a vital form of formal communication used in administrative settings for corresponding with stakeholders, clients, and partners. They serve various purposes such as forwarding information, offering recommendations, addressing complaints, or issuing apologies. So whether you're drafting a resignation letter or a recommendation letter, maintaining a consistent format ensures professionalism. In this lesson, we're going to discuss the general structure of formal letters. We're hoping that this our discussion should be able to help administrative assistants to draft clear and effective letters. While we agree that the format is generally standard, the content should be tailored to suit the specific situation and audience. In administrative drafting, we have some different ways of seeing the same things. In the introduction, we are no longer simply going to say introduction. We are going to say, why are you writing? You should be able to answer the question, why are you writing? Tell us why you are writing. You have a reason why you are writing. Answer that question in your introduction. In the body, okay, now give the details of your write-up. You have told your reader why you are writing. Now write. That's the body. After writing, what do you expect? That's your conclusion. What are your expectations? So introduce a call to action in your conclusion. Basically, that's all a letter should do. So when you tell the writer that you are, let's take for example, in your introduction, you say, I am writing to seek for a permission or for a leave of absence. In your introduction, if you say, I am writing to seek a leave of absence, it means you want permission to stay away from work. That's your introduction. Now in the body, tell us, now seek the permission. All right? You will now ask for permission. Your permission should now give us a date that you will not come to work. You may also have to tell us why you will not come to work on these days and how you're going to manage the work that was supposed to be done by you. You see, that will be in your body. Then in the conclusion now, you need to now introduce a call to action. Okay, all of what you have said, what do you want? Okay, let us see the structure of a letter. In the structure of a letter, the first component is the sender's address. This should be put at the top right-hand corner of the letter. It should also be aligned to the right, and should include the physical location or the physical address, as well as the sender's telephone and email address. The name of the sender is not included at the top. It is done at the end of the letter. Let us see an example of a sender's address. This is it. So, 123 Main Street, Bamenda, Northwest Region, Cameroon. My phone number is there. My email address is there. The next component of your letter should be the date. The date should be put underneath the address. The date is not part of the address. Reason why it should be separated by one line. It is the second component and not part of the address. So when you finish writing your address, you skip one line, then you have the date. Let's see how the date is written. The date is written as 21 October 2020. Not 21st with an ST, no. Not 21/10/2020, no. not 10/21/2020. No. That can be done in other types of writing. You can do it when you're writing other types of documents. But when you're preparing an administrative document, the date should be written as 21 October 2020. That is how the date should be written. The third component is the recipient's name, title, and designation, and his own address. So you should put this on the left-hand corner, beginning on the line below the date. And remember, it should be left aligned. It should be left aligned. So the first and the second components are right aligned. The third component is left aligned. So in my case, the name of my recipient is Mr. Fongong Roland. He is the principal of Stabicol NDOP. So you have his name, his title, and his address. The fourth component is a reference. Reference. It must not be included. In some letters, it will be included. In other letters, it will not be included. So here, it is written beneath the recipient's address, and it is separated by one line space. The reference is usually given if the letter is a follow-up or a reply to an earlier letter, and it is identified by a number or code. In these circumstances, you could put your reference or our reference, and you follow with the reference number or the code in the earlier letter. Secondly, this other part of your letter is used to address letters to specific people within an organization. For example, you may be sending a letter to a title, but you want a particular individual to handle that letter. Let's be more precise. If you take a letter and you address the letter to the principal of Stabicol NDOP, that letter can be opened by a vice principal or any other administrator acting on behalf of the principal. But if in Stabicol you have 4 vice principals, VP1, VP2, VP3, VP4, and you send that letter, and in the reference you say, for the attention of VP1, it means, despite the fact that that letter is addressed to the principal, when you get to the principal will send that letter now to VP1. Maybe it is on a topic that was already being handled by VP1, and you know that VP1 is familiar with the content of your letter and will easily handle that letter. You will now guide that, you now refer that letter to VP1. So you write there, for the attention of VP1. You may be sending a letter to the ministry. You're addressing the letter to the minister, but you know exactly the person who will handle or who had handled previous documents with similar content, or it's a follow-up to earlier correspondence that has been shared already. You may include there, for the attention of, you specify the person's name. When that letter will get to the ministry, they will send that letter directly to that individual to whom it was referred. I hope we understand that concept well. Then the fifth component is known as a salutation. A salutation is a greeting. We can say sir, or we say madam. We can also say dear. So examples include Your Excellency, dear Mr. X, dear Dr. Z, dear parents, dear board members, and so on. Those are salutations. So you can take an example of a salutation. I said, dear Mr. Fongo. That is an example of a salutation. Then we now have the heading of a letter. The heading is a short, meaningful heading, and it draws the recipient's attention to the subject of the letter. However, it may not be needed in the case of a very short letter on a subject with which the recipient is familiar. So the heading, you can always give a short, meaningful heading, and we know that it will draw now the recipient's attention to the subject of the letter. In my case, I said my letter is an application for the administrative assistant position. Application for the administrative assistant position. Then the seventh component is opening the letter. You have to open your letter. We can say this is the introduction. Remember, you're not going to write the introduction. No. You just open your letter. With your letters, you don't have headings. Unlike reports where you have headings, with the letter, you don't have headings. So you're not going to put any heading there. So you're going to begin your letter with sentences like, I am writing to you about, I am writing in connection with. Those are sentences that you can use to say why you are writing. So that is the introduction. You should be able to answer the question, why? Why are you writing? Let's see an example of an opening sentence. In this case, where I'm writing an application for the administrative assistant position. Let's check that out. I am writing to express my interest in the administrative assistant position listed on your school's notice board. You see, that is an opening sentence. It says, it answers the question, why I am writing. Then we now have the content of the letter. What did I say the content does? I've said in my opening, which is my introduction, that I am writing to express my interests. I want to apply for the position of an administrative assistant that was listed on the school's notice board. Now in my body, I now have to apply. Now express your interests. So that is what the content does. The content means the material that makes up the substance of the letter. This does not include the opening and closing statements. And so what is said in the body and the words used to say it vary according to the issue at hand. But in all cases, be very polite in your sentences. Let's check out what I have here as the content. You see, I'm now applying. I'm saying I have over 15 years of experience in administrative support, during which I've improved my skills in office management, communication, project coordination, and I'm particularly skillful at organizing events and managing schedules, ensuring that all tasks are completed efficiently and on time. I am excited about the opportunity to contribute to Stabicol, known for its commitment to excellence. I believe that my skills in Microsoft Office and my ability to work collaboratively make me a strong candidate for this role. I'm now applying to that position. In my introduction, I said I am writing to apply. In my body, I now apply. In my conclusion, what should I be doing? I should say what I'm expecting. So, the concluding sentences should say what my expectations are. You could say things like, I look forward to hearing from you at your earliest convenience. I would be grateful if you could give this matter your early attention. Some people may end theirs to say they are ready or they are available to discuss their CV in detail at any time. So whatever you are saying, you must introduce a call to action. Give your expectations. Now that you have applied, what are you expecting? So this is what my closing statement will look like. Thank you for considering my application. I look forward to the opportunity to discuss how my experience and skills can benefit your school. It means I'm expecting an interview that maybe during the interview, I may have the opportunity to discuss how my experience and skills will be beneficial to Stabicol. Remember, I'm not saying it will be beneficial to me. So recruiting me in Stabicol is of a lot of importance to the school and not to me. Okay, The 10th component of your letter should be a complementary ending. Remember, the complementary ending is different from your closing sentence. So the complementary ending, I use yours sincerely all the time. You could use yours faithfully. But I use yours sincerely. So let me check what I used in this case. I said sincerely. Yes, at times I always say sincerely. At times I say yours sincerely. So depending on the situation, but you could say yours sincerely, yours faithfully. That will now be a complementary ending. And immediately after your complementary ending, there's a comma. Then your signature comes between the complementary ending and your name and or title. So in my case, I will sign and write my name and write certified administrative assistant. The 11th point is your signature. You will sign. And when you are finished with your complementary ending, you say yours sincerely, or you say sincerely or faithfully. You put a comma, then you sign below. The signature, it comes between the complementary ending and your name. Your name is a 12th component of your letter. So your signature comes, and the 12th component therefore is your name and your title or your designation. So these are placed after the signature. And if you are signing the letter on behalf of somebody else, always use the abbreviation PP, which stands for per pro, or simply on behalf of, immediately before the name of the person on whose behalf you are signing. For example, if you are signing a document and your name is like mine, Mbashi Isofa, and I'm signing on behalf of, let's take for example, Fongong Roland, then I'll say Mbashi Isofa, PP, Fongong Roland. Mbashi Isofa on behalf of Fongong Roland. So that must be there. So this is now where you're going to put that information. So the 12th component is the name and your designation. In my case, Bashi Isofa Njoya, certified administrative assistant. Then immediately after your name, you're going to put your enclosures. Because this is an application letter. It's not going alone. It's accompanied by my CV, my certificate as a certified administrative assistant, maybe my academic certificate, and maybe other justifying documents. So under enclosures, you're going to reference documents that you're sending your letter with. Examples, you can say, please find enclosed, I enclose herewith, or I am enclosing. So you can list your enclosures at the end of the letter, and you make sure that there is an abbreviation like ENC and so on. Let's check out what I have here. I have enclosure resume. Remember, the resume is a summarized curriculum vitae. That's the only thing I'm enclosing. Then the 14th and last component of your letter is the copies. So at the end of your letter, you may list under CC the persons to whom you are sending a copy. CC stands for carbon copy. Alternatively, you can end your letter with a sentence such as, I am copying this to. Note that with the exception of the address of the sender and the date, all elements of your letter are aligned with the left-hand margin. This is the format mostly used, and there is no indentation. Okay, thank you very much for being a part of this lesson in which we have discussed the key components of formal letters. Take note that the structure is generally the same for nearly all letters, but the content may vary because of the specific letter that you are writing. And we are encouraging you that as you are drafting your letters, always remember, before you start drafting a letter, always understand the goal of the letter and who it is addressed to. Always use a professional tone. Maintain a polite, respectful, and professional tone throughout your letter. Regardless of the nature of the communication, avoid casual language. Be as polite as you can. Be clear and direct. State your message or request clearly in the opening paragraph and avoid unnecessary details or complex language. Focus on the main point. Focus on the main point. Avoid unnecessary jargons, unnecessary explanations, and be clear. Go direct, go straight to the point. And follow the structure. Adhere to the standard of formal letters. And at the end, always read your letter. Before you share your letter, make sure you review your letter for errors in spelling, grammar, and punctuation. So ensure it aligns with the purpose and consider the reader's perspective to make sure your message is well received. If you do this, we're hoping that you're going to improve your drafting skills. And remember, you're never going to have a perfect administrative document without errors. At any time you draft a document, there will always be errors. No matter what you do, there will always be errors. At least one error. You will therefore review this from time to time, keep on correcting, striving to be perfect, but knowing that you will hardly ever be perfect. Thank you and see you in our next lesson.